Hello students, welcome back to our video. So in the last video we started with a new chapter, that is chapter number 8, Journal Proper. In the last video we already discussed the meaning and the theory of journal proper. So now let's discuss how to make the journal proper with the help of an example. So here illustration 1 is given. Question says that Yuvraj does not maintain separate subsidiary books for bills receivable, bills payable, purchase returns and the sales returns. Pass the entries of the following transactions in the journal proper. So in the question it is already mentioned that Yuvraj does not maintain separate subsidiary books for the bills receivable, bills payable, purchase return and the sales return. So from this you should understand that any transactions related with this purchase returns, sales returns, bills receivable and bills payable will also be recorded in the journal proper. Got it? Okay. So now let's look, first of all, make the format of the journal proper. It is the same as the journal book or journal entries. First column would be the date, then second column would be the particulars, then third column would be the LF number, then fourth column would be the debit in rupees, and last column would be the credit in rupees. On the top of the table you have to write journal proper of Shri Yuvraj. So first transaction says that a bill of rupees 8,000 was drawn on a debtor Mayur for collection of dues from him, which he accepted and returned it to us. So bills receivable. Bills was drawn on the debtor of Mayur for collection of the dues from him. So bills was given to Mayur because money was due from Mayur. And Mayur also accepted their bill and returned it to us. So what will be the entry? So it is going to be bills receivable. Money is going to come in the business through bills receivable. Therefore, bills receivable account would be debited to Mayur's account. Amount would be the 8,000. Got it? This entry would be recorded in the journal proper because Yuvraj does not maintain the separate subsidiary books for the bills receivable as well as for the bills payable. That's why this entry would also be recorded in the journal proper. Then second transaction says that we accepted a bill of rupees 5,000 drawn by Ketan against his debt of rupees 7,000, which we accepted and returned to him. So here Ketan is paying, or we can say giving bill to the business, to the Yuvraj, because Yuvraj has to pay 7,000 to Ketan. Therefore, Ketan is drawing bill to the Yuvraj. So what would be the account? Here money is going out of business through bills payable. Got it? So Ketan's account would be debited to bills payable account because money is going out of the business through bills payable. Amount would be the 5,000, not 7,000, because Ketan draw the bill of rupees 5,000, not for the 7,000. That's why. Got it? Okay. Then third transaction says that the bill accepted by Mayur was dishonored or the maturity date. So the bill which was accepted by the Mayur was dishonored. Therefore, Mayur's account would be debited to bills receivable account because this bill was dishonored. Therefore, bills receivable will be credited because earlier bills receivable was debited, but as it is dishonored, it would be now credited. Mayur's account would be debited to bills receivable account because now business is not going to get the money through bills receivable because it is dishonored. That's why it would be credited. Amount would be the 8,000 On the first transaction, you will see that a bill of 8,000 was drawn on a debtor Mayur. Therefore, amount would remain the same, 8,000, 8,000. Then, fourth transaction says that return goods of rupees 4,000 to Chetan. These goods were purchased before 10 days on 3 months credit. So, goods which was purchased from Chetan is now returned back to the Chetan. So, it is considered as purchase return. So, obviously it would be credited. So, Chetan's account would be debited to purchase return account because goods is going out of business. It is going to be returned. Therefore, purchase return account would be credited. Amount would be the 4,000. Debit column as well as the credit column. And the last transaction says that Pranav returned goods of rupees 2,000 which we had sold on 2 months credit. So the goods which were sold to Pranav, now Pranav returns back the goods of rupees 2,000. So sales returns account would be debited because it is goods is coming in the business, is returning in the business. Therefore, sales returns account would be debited to Pranav's account. Amount would be the 2,000 in the debit column and the 2,000 in the credit column. So now we have already entered all the entries in the journal proper. So at the last you have to total both debit column as well as credit column. Remember that debit column should always be equal to the credit column, and don't forget to total it at the end of the question. When you have passed all the entries, it is compulsory to total it at the end, because if you do not total it, you will not get the full marks. Therefore, please total it at the end, and remember that debit column should always be equal to the credit column. So here total would be the 27,000 debit, 27,000 credit. So now we are going to stop here. In the next video, we would be discussing about the special transactions which are not recorded in the other subsidiary books, and discuss with the help of an example. So if you have any questions or any doubts, please feel free to comment below the video. Thank you.